Hey, Treasure History. Today's essential question is, what was the geography of ancient Greece? Remember that geography means land and water. So we'll be talking about how the natural resources of Greece caused it to be how it is today and how it was back in the ancient days. Today's the beginning of your new unit, Unit 7, and it's also the beginning of 2015 here in history class. So Happy New Year. I missed you guys over a break. I hope that you had a really fun, relaxing time at home. And I'm really glad that you're back. It's good to see you again. So let's make 2015 the year that you give your best each day. Take a fresh start if you need one. And 2015 will also be the year that you get advanced on your history iLeap. I believe in you. Let's get started on our first day of our new unit. It's been more than 2 months since we studied a new civilization, and our last civilization was China. Remember that China was isolated from other civilizations because of both natural and man-made barriers. Do you remember what was the man-made barrier that divided China from its neighbors? Yep, if you said the Great Wall, you're exactly right. Okay, so then what were the natural boundaries that isolated China from its neighbors? Yeah, these ripply lines on the physical map, those are mountains. Mountains definitely isolated China. Also, the Himalayas were here, a huge set of mountains. There was desert up here and ocean over here, and all of those things kept people pretty much contained or isolated in this region. Now turn to your passage. This should be on your Tuesday page of your new packet. Please annotate as we read together. Make sure to summarize each paragraph, circle keywords such as the names of places and vocab that we've learned, and underline important details. Here we go. Ancient Greece was different than other civilizations that we've studied. In ancient Greece, city-states were isolated from one another because of the high mountains. It was hard to travel over the mountains, so there was little communication between people in different settlements. Each city-state was very independent of one another, with their own government, their own culture, and even their own types of food. So here are all the different city-states. See how they're not very far from each other, but at the same time they don't talk very much because there are mountains in between. Please pause and summarize the key point from that paragraph. Okay, if you hear this, you should be done summarizing. Most people in ancient Greece survived by farming, but farming wasn't easy in that mountainous land. The land was rocky, there wasn't enough water, and no major rivers flow through Greece. And it doesn't rain very much, except during the winter months, when growing crops is nearly impossible. So, this part is not on your passage, but I want to tell you some facts about Greek farming. Listen, only 20% of the land was fertile enough to farm. That's only 1 out of 5 pieces of land where anybody could grow anything. The crops that they did grow were mostly olives, grapes, and barley, which is a grain like wheat. This is a picture of olive trees. As far as domesticated animals, they mostly used sheep, goats, chicken, and bees because those animals don't need flat land to live. This is a picture that I took on my trip to Greece that I went to when I was in college. These are goats that live up on top of the mountains. So as you can see, goats would be a good domesticated animal for Greece because they like to live in mountains. Please pause and summarize the paragraph that we just read about Greek farming. All right, you should be done summarizing now, and let's move on to the next paragraph about travel. Travel by land was especially difficult. People in Greece walked or rode carts pulled by oxen or mules. Roads were not paved like they are today. Notice how rocky this path is, and think about how it'd be really hard to pull a cart on there. Sharp rocks frequently broke the wooden wheels of the carts, and wagons could become stuck in the mud. Please pause and summarize that paragraph. All right, next paragraph. Traveling by boat was easier because Greece was a peninsula. meaning that it was surrounded by water on 3 sides. Along the coast, also it had many good harbors. This is another picture that I took on my trip to Greece. A harbor is just a place where boats can park easily with calm water. Along the coast, the sea connected Greeks with people in Asia and Africa. The Mediterranean Sea was like the highway that connected all of these different continents. The fact that Greece had only a few types of natural resources led the Greeks to look outside for trade. The people who traded in Greece were called merchants. Greece's location made it a perfect trade center with other countries, and trading by sea is an important part of Greeks' lives still today. Please pause and summarize that paragraph. All right, next paragraph. As the population of Greece grew, they had more people, but some communities did not have enough farmland to feed all their people. So the Greeks came up with a solution. The Greeks decided to start colonies across the Mediterranean Sea. On the map, the part that's colored in green are colonies. Colonies mean that Greeks sailed across the sea to find new land where they could farm, and they claimed this land for themselves. Greeks sent their people to the colonies, hoping that these people could grow food in the new lands and then send the food home. Please pause and summarize that paragraph. Besides starting new colonies, many Greek settlements on the mainland used trade to get goods that they needed. As you know by now, Greece was a land filled with mountains, so it was really hard to get food there. The Greeks had to depend on trading with other places. Since the Greeks were surrounded by water, they became great sailors, and they traded with other civilizations such as Rome, and like this picture shows, like Egypt. Please pause and summarize that paragraph. Greece's central location on the Mediterranean was highly sought after by other civilizations. When you control so much sea territory, you have a lot of control over trade in the region. As a result, Greece was involved in many wars and was eventually conquered by several different empires. Eventually, those pesky Romans that we've heard a little bit about before, the same ones who loved Chinese silk and crucified Jesus, they also conquered Greece. We're going to learn more about the Romans in our next unit. Please pause and summarize that paragraph. Talk about the problem that Greece had because of its great location on the sea. All right, by now you should be done summarizing that paragraph. Make sure that every paragraph has a summary so that you can get full credit in your packet today. When you're finished, X out of your tab, close your computer, and begin working on your summaries at the bottom of your page.